Hello everybody, my name is Michael, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is this right here. So if that looks exciting to you guys, please carry on and watch the video. Oh, and just one more thing before we go. Please consider like, commenting, and subscribing if you enjoyed the video. But now with all that out of the way, let's carry on with the video. Okay, so once we have our miniature primed, as you can see here I've just done a quick zenithal highlight, we can start off with our first colour. And our first colour is going to be tanned flesh. Dwarves seem to have that nice darkened skin tones, being hidden underground and really tough at work, so they generally have grease and mud and muck on their face, so they're a little darker skinned. And I think tanned flesh is a good colour to start off with this. And for our dwarf here, all we're going to do is just paint up his face. The rest of him isn't showing, so it's just the face for our dwarf fella. Then once we have his face painted in, we're going to come in now with some black grey, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting his boots and his gloves that he's got here. Now his gloves are armoured up, so we just want to be painting the underside as well as the fingers. Now you could of course go with open hand here that he's sort of got just metal plates onto, but I think it feels a little more authentic if they were gauntlets, so that's why we're going with the black sort of glove effect rather than just sort of painting in the skin. It makes a lot more sense that way. Then once we have the glove and the boots painted in, we're going to come in with some oak brown now. And with the oak brown, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting in his nice sort of fur cloak / hood that he has on him here, just giving that a nice good overall base coat. And since we've got that nice zenithal highlight on there, it's going to really help us ease into those nice lighting effects that we want to have in there if we keep our paint nice and thin. Then once we have that fur hood painted in, we're going to come in now with some khaki. And all we're going to be doing is we're going to be applying a dry brush straight over top of our oak brown. And this is going to help give us a bit of a fur colour. Now, you could go with whatever fur colour you'd like here. There's so many different ranges of browns and khakis and even sort of off-whites and greys you could use to do this. So it's totally up to you here, but I'm just going to be using a khaki to give it a nice quick dry brush. And then once we have that done, all we're going to be doing is I'm going to come in with Monster Brown, which is an even lighter brown again, and bring some more brown tone back into that khaki coloured fur area. And that way we've got 3 distinct layers of brown, and it should really help liven up the fur and give it that more realistic fur appearance. Then once we have that fur complete, we're going to come in now with some deep blue. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be painting in his coat that he's wearing here. Now this coat could go one or two ways. It's a little hard to tell with the way it's sculpted, but I guess that's intentional, as you could make this just an ordinary cloak that has a lot of like textures and fabric styling into it, or you could make this a metal cloak itself, and it could be like a long chainmail sort of skirt coat thing. But I'm going with nice coloured there. I want to add in some colour to the piece. I don't want it to just be a straight metal dwarf. I want to add in a bit more liveliness to the piece than that. So that's why I'm going with this nice deep blue here for the cloak itself. Make it more of a cloak rather than like a chain mail skirt or armament. It's more a show-off fashion piece, I guess, and be more respectful of his god and give that little bit more style and colour to the piece. Then once we have that painted up, what we're going to be doing now is coming in with some oak brown. And for the oak brown, all we're going to be doing is we're just going to come in and paint the handle of his nice warhammer that he has in his hand, or battle hammer, I guess. Just really getting in there and giving that nice deep, rich brown colour. Then once we have the handle of that painted in, we're going to come in now with some crystal blue. And we're going to be using the crystal blue to just be doing the light sort of tassels at the bottom. I guess they're not really tassels, but the trim around the bottom anyway. I want to separate it out by 2 different colours. I know it's going to look a little samey on the piece, like even on the camera, maybe a little bit samey looking, but having these 2 separate colours of blue is going to really come into effect a little bit later on when we add in some more detailed touches to the piece. And I'm also going to be doing the little piece he has just in front of him here as well, like the little front part of the skirt in the exact same blue. Then once we have that picked out, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with some cavalry brown. And what we're going to do in the cavalry brown is we're going to be painting up the pants of our miniature here. Now it's going to be pretty tricky to see. He's a small, squat dwarf, and there's only a very little area showing. And you can see I'm just going in here with a fine tip brush and really just getting in there and just trying to get the places where it hints at that he's got some nice trousers or pants on. And cavalry brown is going to be the good colour for that. Then once we have those pants painted up, we're going to come in now with some dark sea grey. And what I'm going to be doing with the dark sea grey is I'm going to be painting in sort of the under cloak slash like under clothing he's wearing here. It's only a small bit here, as you can see. And this part, of course, could also be mistaken for or portrayed as a metal chainmail or like a metal plate as well. But I'm making it more part of an undercloak, so you can see he's got multiple layers of clothes and adds a bit more interest to the piece. Then with those underclothes complete, we can start moving on to the actual metal parts itself. So starting off with gun metal here, we're going to be doing the armor platings, but we're not going to be doing every single one of them. We're going to be focusing on the shoulder pads and the gauntlets here, as well. Of course, we want to go with that head of the hammer, but we want to be leaving out the holy symbol he has in his hand, as well as the main two chest pieces he has. So we're going to be doing these lower pieces here and have it as a bit of armor that's dangling down. But the top two bits, as you can see where I'm painting, we're going to be leaving those. So we'll be doing them a different color and really make this piece stand out rather than making every little bit of metal we can see silver. And then what we're going to be doing once that's dry is we're going to come in with weapon bronze, and we're going to be doing those pieces that I said to avoid, except for the nice holy symbol he has in his hands. We're going to be leaving that alone as well. So just these two nice plates we've got here, as well as that is also the armor that he has on his boots as well. We also want to be doing in the bronze color, and it's going to, as you can see, it's really adding a lot of pop of color into the piece, and it's really helping it to stand out on the table, especially from a distance once we see it all completed there. So just be aware that we're being pretty careful now because we don't want the metallic areas to go over any other places. So just being careful while we're applying it. And then once we've done that, we're going to come in now with some averland sunset. And the averland sunset, what we're going to be doing is there's just a little trim on the back of his cloak that we've painted up here. And we painted in those two different coloured blues. All we're going to be doing is painting in that trim, the averland sunset. And that's going to really make these two blues stand out a lot from each other and make it a lot more visually different and noticeable that those are two different coloured blues, and really help catch the eye to a piece of the miniature and really make you look over the whole piece. And then once we've completed that, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with ivory. And we're going to be using ivory to be painting up his hair and his nice dwarven beard that he has here. So I want to make this dwarven cleric sort of old, wise follower of his god. So we want to keep that age look, and I'm going to go with a nice white beard rather than a coloured beard. But again, totally up to you what you want to paint it here. But I'm going with a nice, wise, old cleric who's been devoted to his god for years. And then once we've completed that, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be coming in with some retibutor armour. And this is where we're going to be painting in his holy symbol that he's clutching in his hand, that he's sort of off looking to praise to his god. And I think that's going to be very fitting for a dwarf to have a nice golden item to his chosen god in his hand and really make that piece also a nice eye-catching piece on the miniature. And then once we've completed that, we can now move on to the washing stage, and starting off with some agrax earthshade. Now we're going to be applying the agrax earthshade to a lot of this miniature itself. Basically, we're going to be applying it to everywhere that isn't a metallic area, as well as that very fine bottom trim of blue. We're going to be avoiding that as well with our agrax earthshade, and avoiding all the metals, of course, as well. We're going to be doing those in some different washes, so we're being pretty selective of where we're placing this wash, but we do want to get it over the facial hair of our dwarf. We want to make him a little bit sort of, hey, he's got a bit of dirt in his beard like he's been battling for a little while. And again, just leaving out that very bottom trim in the blue cloak that he's wearing as well. Then once we've completed that, what we're going to do now is we're coming in with some blue tone ink, and we're going to be painting in that blue. So we're going to start, of course, on the front here, the little bit of cloth he's got hanging down on the front, and we, of course, we want to switch it over to the back, and we just want to be placing it along that very bottom trim, so we can really tell the difference between the two colors in the blue, so they don't look so samey. We've got that nice brown wash on top and then that nice blue wash on the bottom to really help make it stick out from one another. And then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be coming in with some nuln oil. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to apply this to all of the silver metallic colors of our miniature. So avoiding the places that we placed in bronze and gold, and just focusing on the areas that are the gunmetal colors. So that's, of course, the hammer and his gauntlets and his nice shoulder pad that he's got here, just applying the nuln oil wash to those. And then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with some Reikland Flesh Shade. And the Reikland Flesh Shade we're going to be applying to the other metallic areas that we did not get to before when we used the nuln oil, because what the Reikland Flesh Shade has got that nice bit of red and warmth to it, and it's going to really help elevate the colours of our warm golds and bronzes. As well as that, we also want to be applying it to the face of our Dwarven Cleric here as well, to give that nice flesh shade colour. And then once that's dry, we can move on to the highlighting step. I'm going to start off with ivory here, and all we're going to be doing is highlighting up his nice beard and hair that he's got on him here. And you can see I just got a little bit on the fine tip brush that I've got here, and I'm just carefully dragging it along with the side of my brush rather than the tip, because you have a little bit less mistakes when you're brushing with the side of your brushes, especially in this nice dwarven model here. It's got these nice deep ridges of where that hair is flowing. And then once you've done that, all we're going to do is come back in with some weapon bronze, and we're just going to be highlighting the edges of our bronze area again in that. So it's just going around the edges where the sun would naturally hit. Being very careful not to paint the whole thing over again. We just want to be hitting those edges. Maybe a little bit hard to see on camera, but you'll get a nice little edge highlight of areas that are a little bit brighter. And then once we've done that, all we're going to be doing now is coming back in with some tanned flesh. And our tan flesh, of course, we're going to be using on our skin, and that's just highlighting the areas like the top of the nose, sort of just above the eyebrow here, since I've managed to paint the eyebrows in, since this dwarf's got nice big bushy eyebrows, and along the cheekbones here that are going to stick out quite nicely. So just getting those areas and being very careful not to get anywhere where we don't want that paint to be. And then once we've done that, it's time for one last final highlight. I'm going to come in with shining silver to do this. We want our dwarf to have that really nice eye-catching silver color on his armor, and that is of course what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be going around the edges, really hitting those areas that are naturally going to be in the sun, and especially on those really sharp corners that our nice dwarven armor has. And it's going to really help make it pop out on the table, especially since we've got that shining silver. It's going to really elevate it that little bit more, make it a little bit more eye-catching, especially from a distance. So it's just a matter of going around with the edge of your brush and picking out the edges of those areas that we want to have highlighted. And with all that complete, we have now finally finished painting up Thain Grimthorn the Dwarf Cleric from Reaper Miniatures. So I hope this has been useful for you guys, whether you want to follow along, or you just want me to get you some inspiration when painting up your own miniatures, or you just enjoy me painting up some cool miniatures myself. So with all that, guys, I'd like to thank you again one more time, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.